may I know whether there was a crisis management training in 2009?
Your Honor, according to Yusef Panadero, there was none. Let me just push it a little further. The Crisis Management Committee must be under the Peace and Order Council. And the Peace and Order Council must be responsible for training the Crisis Management Committee.
Well, precisely, Mr. Chairman, that is the reason why I asked the question, because they should know that they're going to be part of the crisis management team. If there's no training, then they would not know. Was there a crisis management training in the early part of 2010, the first 6 months of 2010?
Very likely, Your Honor, none. And probably, if there were, you can say it's not uniform, there were localities who did crisis management trainings, but then I suppose there were localities that did not conduct crisis management training.
May I ask the Philippine National Police whether they're aware of crisis management in 2009? Of crisis management training in 2009?
For the Philippine National Police, Your Honor, we have continuing different courses actually. We even have foreign schooling, foreign seminars.
So I'm referring to making the entire organization, because a crisis could happen anywhere in the country. In other words, the entire country, local, we should be thinking of training for local executives who can become crisis management leaders. I'm talking of
I cannot recall, Your Honor.
How about 2008?
I cannot recall, Your Honor, of a training that involves all the local government.
How about 2007?
Really, I cannot recall, Your Honor. That
From
is
the DILG, what about 2006?
Your Honor, I was mayor in 2006. I was chair of BOC. Trainings were essentially on disaster risk management and disaster risk assessment.
How about 2005?
No, Your Honor.
2004?
No, Your Honor.
2003?
I don't recall, Your Honor.
2002? Chairman, it would appear that there's no training for the DILG, for the Philippine National Police, and for the LGUs as far as crisis management is concerned. So how can the existing potential members of the crisis management teams that may have to be activated on signal, on short signal, be prepared for something like this if there is no systematic training program?
I think the others also would like to say something about that. Go ahead.
Your Honor, what I understood was I was out of a training for the whole bureaucracy of the DILG. I do not remember any, Your Honor. But for the PNP, Your Honor, we have a lot of trainings on crisis management.
Yes, well, precisely. That's why the reason I ask is that a crisis can happen anywhere and everywhere. You cannot just train a special group. It can explode in Zamboanga, it happened in Sulu, it could happen in Manila, it could happen in Taguig, it could happen everywhere. In other words, the whole network of potential crisis managers should be trained. And we're speaking here of usually the combination of the police organization and the local executive. So apparently, Mr. Chairman, there had been no systematic training for crisis management based on the response from the DILG and the Philippine National Police. So how can the entire country, as a nation, be ready for a crisis that could emerge anytime, anywhere, given the setup?
Mr. Secretary.
And my next question now is, what is the DILG and the PNP now going to do as part of their budget submission with respect to the future, because we need to move on?
Your Honor, we put in our 10 billion pesos for disaster risk assessment and disaster risk management. Hopefully, we'll be able to embed it. And also, I think we put in 10 million for POC. We'll make it as part of the capacity building program of the Peace and Order Council.
Mr. Chairman, as my conclusion, may I recommend to the DILG and to the Philippine National Police that somewhere in the budget, they should have a systematic program where they can conduct crisis management training for all local executives, mayor, and of course the local organizations of the Philippine National Police as a counterpart of the organization of the local executives, because the chief PNP, the chief of police, will have to interact with the local executive in that area, but if both of them are not trained in crisis management, they're not even aware of what a crisis management template is, then how can they be prepared, Mr. Chairman, for such an eventuality?
Perhaps that could be programmed through provincial commanders, you know, training the mayors, having a meeting with the mayors, and having a training with the secretary.
Yeah, Your Honor, we'll look into it and ensure that we're, at least for the remaining half of this year, whatever resources we have, we put into it. And for next year, whatever resources that are allocated, we put into it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to conclude by saying that apparently the reason why crisis management that happened in the Manila hostage crisis happened because of this lack of in-depth and intensive training that the DILG and the PNP should have conducted way before. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chief PNP. And good luck to whoever will be the next Chief of the Philippine National Police. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Congressman Golez. I think the idea of Congressman Golez would be very good if it would be integrated into the future program of the PNP and the DILG. And you can begin that perhaps through a meeting with the provincial commanders and the mayors, so that if any crisis will happen in their areas, at least they will be prepared for it, Mr. Secretary. So the next congressman to interpellate will be Congressman Amang Magsaysay.